absent-mindedness. And my addictive substance was alcohol, my behaviour addictive as well. Work, relationships, collecting, materialism, a good consumer, a good watcher, a good this, that and the other, a good intellectual, but not very good with my feelings, and not very good at understanding my maladies. And for me, trying to fix myself really was the order of the day, and always trying to fix some sort of emptiness inside, and not really understanding why I felt empty at all. And underlying that was a fear of not being good enough to be a part of society, not being good enough to be a partner in a relationship, not good enough being married, not good enough being able to have children, and all of those things, which are fairly normal, and probably on the run a lot of the time. So I picked careers where I was always out and about, working in organisations, and almost like a consultant, and trying to help them with their organisation design and people. So, very intellectual, very hard working, very career oriented, and if I looked right, I thought I was right, but the answer was I wasn't quite right inside. So my best friend all the way through, drink, take the edge off. It allowed me to feel something about life, and feel love, feel loved back, feel anything really, and that could be from anger to joy, or happiness to sadness, you name it. So alcohol was the great liberator in my life for many years of my feelings, and I didn't know I was doing this as a way of life. It just seemed to be a part of what I was doing. So these days, having got to a stage where I was dependent and then addicted in this century, where I couldn't stop, I became a 24/7 drinker, having accumulated loads and loads of stuff. I couldn't wait to get rid of it. My whole life was about emptying out everything, because I felt it was better to have nothing. So where did I end up? Certainly in the gutter, certainly not right, certainly judging the world and blaming it for my misfortune. Not realising I was just ignorant and not aware of what had gone on in my life. Success had meant nothing, because I'd probably been successful at things which weren't helping me find a spiritual connection to living, which is in the moment of now, and understanding my emotions on a daily basis, how to love people without a drink inside me, and without infatuation or obsession. So what's my theme today? Well, I suppose something to do with faith. Faith that life can change, and it changes daily in the moment where we get our choices. And if we have a sober head, we have a better choice of what is going on. And what helps me keep sober these days? Well, family, friends, community, professionals all have a place in my welfare and health, be that emotional, spiritual or physical, and a fellowship which has an understanding of what it's like to stay sober one day at a time, and that fellowship is AA, Alcoholics Anonymous. So I share a bit about AA here, and some of the literature on their daily reflections, which is today about faith, courage, faith and confidence, rather than having fear, putting on a brave face, and a brittle ego covering up that horrible hole inside where it just feels empty and we don't know why. So these days, what a change, and a good start to my morning. I spoke to my sister, my mother, and a girlfriend who's coming round to do her job application for something new. So this is, yes, it's a good start to the day, and I get breakfast thrown in, which is even better. So what is AA? A statement of intent, which I'm going to share now, and I read it rather than recite it, because if I read it, I know where I am with it. If I recite it, it's just a recitation. It doesn't have the same meaning. So AA, Statement of Intent, or the AA preamble, goes like this. Alcoholics Anonymous is a fellowship of men and women who share their experience, strength and hope with each other, that they may solve their common problem and help others to recover from alcoholism. The only requirement for membership is a desire to stop drinking. There are no dues or fees for AA membership. We are self-supporting through our own contributions. AA is not allied with any sect, denomination, politics, organisation or institution, does not wish to engage in any controversy, neither endorses nor opposes any causes. Our primary purpose is to stay sober and help other alcoholics to achieve sobriety. So for me the key in there is it's about a desire to stop drinking and sharing a message of experience, strength and hope with others, which is really why I do these videos. For anyone who cannot get to meetings or is just contemplating, what would it be like to stop drinking and be sober? So, with a theme like courage, faith and confidence for today in what I'm doing, having a bit of courage, a little bit of faith and a little bit of confidence to make the best choice I can sober means that I can make a gentle step forward, and it's not about changing my whole life in one go. Although just stopping drinking did change my life in one go, it left a huge gap, and it was touch and go whether I would fill it with things which are fixes or things which are about living well in the moment. So it took me a while just to stop being fearful. Although fear comes in every day, it's part of our makeup. We need enough fear to keep us on the road of faith. We can't have one without the other. Blind faith with nothing behind it is just blind faith, and blind faith in the moment can get us run down in the road. So I have to be careful about faith. Faith without foundation, I guess. Anyway, in this book, Daily Reflections, it covers the 12 steps of action to change our attitude and behaviour on a daily basis, and February is all about step 2, which is came to believe that a power greater than myself could restore me to sanity. And I was talking about it last night in a meeting, and it's simply for me the wisdom of the many over the less wisdom that I have of drinking and then finding sobriety. Willpower didn't help me. What's helped me is faith. So February the 4th, it says here, when faith is missing. Sometimes AA comes harder to those who have lost or rejected faith than those who have never had any faith at all, for they think they have tried faith and found it wanting. They have tried the way of faith and found the way of no faith. In other words, if you're knocked down to nothing, which is what happens with drink, and then you're looking to make some sort of headway, it can be very, very difficult, because everything has turned sour. It goes on to say, and this is, yes, I'll say it and then explain it. I was so sure God had failed me that I became ultimately defiant. Though I knew better and plunged into a final drinking binge, my faith turned bitter, and that was no coincidence. Those who once had great faith hit bottom harder. It took time to rekindle my faith, though I came to AA. I was grateful intellectually to have survived such a great fall, but my heart felt callous. Still, I stuck with the AA program. The alternatives were too bleak. I kept coming back, and gradually my faith was resurrected. And what we come to understand or believe in terms of our faith and our courage and our confidence to keep going is what we come to understand for ourselves. We have a unique, authentic path and an understanding of where we are on our journey of life. So faith is a personal asset as well as fear, which can often drive it. So faith in love, being loved back, and having something useful to do. Faith that it is better to be sober than it is to be drunk. Faith in a power greater than ourselves, which is the wisdom of mankind, and also the wisdom I find in AA about how to be sober, which means that I can hear to the wisdom of life from every source, and not just one, which is my thinking. So if I don't use my thinking to solve my problems, and I am a part of and included, I get a better perspective of my life on a daily basis. And what more could I ask for? So, as I say at the end of these videos, the serenity prayer to the God of your understanding, or simply good conscience. God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference is simply just for today. My addictive substance was alcohol, my behaviour all those years, and still probably trying to be perfect, and somehow never being perfect. And that's the gift, really. We keep on learning one day at a time how to live life, and how to make the most of what we've got. And part of my mantra in the morning is to ask myself, how am I feeling this morning when I wake up? And the answer is quite tired. I didn't sleep well last night. What can I do about it? Take it easy to an extent, but also know I've got things to do today to keep me sober and moving along in the right direction. And part of my way of doing that is to do videos on recovery, and also share a message of experience, strength and hope with everyone who may encounter my videos. I am an avid fan and believer in the 12-step program of AA, that's Alcoholics Anonymous. I will never speak for AA or what it is. It's an organisation which keeps itself to itself, in the sense that it doesn't have any leaders and people don't speak out for it. But I can speak about my recovery, and that's important to me. It's part of my internal integrity and ethical system, if you like, for trying to live with the truth of now. And I'll share the AA preamble, which is shared at every meeting. It slows me down into the moment of being here and talking and sharing a message. Alcoholics Anonymous is a fellowship of men and women who share their experience, strength and hope with each other, that they may solve their common problem and help others to recover from alcoholism. The only requirement for membership is a desire to stop drinking. There are no dues or fees for AA membership. We are self-supporting through our own contributions. AA is not allied with any sect, denomination, politics, organisation or institution. Does not wish to engage in any controversy, neither endorses nor opposes any causes. Our primary purpose is to stay sober and help other alcoholics to achieve sobriety. And for me, the last sentence there where it says our primary purpose is to stay sober and help other alcoholics to achieve sobriety, we follow our path on how we may do that, and part of that for me is doing these videos, and thank you for the feedback as well and the emails of support. It is a difficult time, and I'm human, so if you love somebody and they're out of your life, then you've got a gap, and I need to be aware of what I fill that gap with. So it's not to be filled with inconsequential, I don't know, I suppose being careful with my resources. And I go to AA meetings. I went to 2 meetings yesterday. In between I had a consultation at the hospital about my condition to do with type 1 diabetes, and it was a gift in recovery actually, type 1 diabetes, 2 years in, and suddenly there I am, losing weight, thirsty, and actually suffering from malnutrition. And I forget that so easily, but I was given some very strong reminders what I must do around keeping my blood sugar right, or my blood sugar levels as best I can below 7, watch out for cholesterol, and watch out for the lipids and triglycerides in my blood. They need to be kept in a better managed condition, so I have plenty to do, and I'll be making a roster or a routine of tests I must do more diligently in the future, or I won't be here for very long. So a bit of a wake-up call again. I knew to a large extent things had slid away from me over the last few months, but they do. Things like this happen, and we get driven in one way or another. So I'm just a human being, and I refer to books on my videos like this one, AA Big Book, the Big Blue Book, Alcoholics Anonymous, the Little Blue Book, the 12 Steps and 12 Traditions, As Bill Sees It, another little red book with the daily readings as we choose to use them, and the daily reflections. And I really focus mainly on these two often, As Bill Sees It and daily reflections. But I was reading something somebody had put on one of my videos from quite a long time ago about helping others, and the chapter in the Big Blue Book, this one, and it says Working with Others, chapter 7, and it says this: practical experience shows that nothing will so much ensure immunity from drinking as intensive work with other alcoholics. It works when other activities fail. This is our 12th step suggestion. Carry this message to other alcoholics. You can help when no one else can. You can secure their confidence when others fail. Remember they are very ill, and I remember how ill I was. Life will take on new meaning. To watch people recover, to see them help others, to watch loneliness vanish, to see a fellowship grow up about you, to have a host of friends. This is an experience you must not miss. We know you will not want to miss it. Frequent contact with newcomers and with each other is the bright spot of our lives, which is why I go to so many meetings. There is no substitute, not even me here on YouTube. But if you can't get out, I'm sure other people are doing these videos too. Perhaps you are not convinced perhaps you're not acquainted with any drinkers who want to recover. You can easily find some by asking a few doctors, ministers, priests or hospitals. They will be only too glad to assist you. Don't start out as an evangelist or reformer. Unfortunately, a lot of prejudice exists. No kidding. You will be handicapped if you arouse it. Ministers and doctors are competent and you can learn much from them if you wish. But it happens that because of your own drinking experience you can be uniquely useful to other alcoholics. So cooperate, never criticise. To be helpful is our only aim. And how we spread the message of recovery is the best we can do with what we have. What I found is that if I hadn't got to meetings of AA, even though I hated it in the beginning because it was suggesting that I should stop drinking, actually there are no shoulds, it's only suggested that one should stop drinking. And the difficulty is when you're in a black place where a drink is keeping you going, you think and feel it is, then it's very hard to give it up. So I guess sharing a message of experience, strength and hope is critical to the survival of the fellowship, but more so critical to the person who is involved in fellowship. And it's essentially a fellowship. It's not an organisation. There are no professionals in charge of it. There's no way that AA can fix a person. Only a person can learn to live sober. So no fixing. You can't be one thing one day and another thing the next. A bit like life, really. We have to learn life every single day. And why am I being so pedantic about this today? And the simple reason is I need to pay attention to my bodily functions and system with the diabetes, or I won't keep in recovery. And last night's meeting, it reminded me there are two types of day we can have in recovery, really. And it's about the forgotten steps in the middle of this program. And I know I'm talking about being restored to sanity this month, and it sort of applies. We can have a sort of step 6 day, and the 6th step in the program reads like this in this blue book. If I can find it. Here we go. Yeah, step 6. We were entirely ready to have God remove all these defects of character. And for me, God is truth. So if I'm looking to have my defects of character removed, I need to find out what they are. And then get to the truth of the matter, because for me, God is truth, as Gandhi said. And you can't argue with the truth. We can argue the toss about what our version of truth might be, but the truth is. So it says here, step 6, necessary to spiritual growth, beginning of a lifetime job. Yes, it's a daily thing. Recognition of the difference between striving for objectives and perfection. We must keep trying. Being ready is all important. Necessity of taking action. Delay is dangerous. Rebellion may be fatal. Points at which we abandon limited objectives and move forward to God's will for us, or the truth of now, as I see it. So if I get stuck in my defects, primary ones are fear, putting on a brave face, and ego. That's the sort of day I could have. But if I actually say to myself, would I prefer a step 7 day, which reads like this: humbly asked him to remove our shortcomings. So looking for the shortcomings in me, which is what it says here, and then I'll say what I think it is. What is humility? What can it mean to us? The avenue to true freedom of the spirit. Necessary aid for survival. Value of ego puncturing. Failure and misery transformed by humility. Strength from weakness. Pain is the admission price for a new life. Self-centered fear, chief activator of defects. Step 7 is a change in attitude which permits us to move out of ourselves towards God, or the truth. And for me, my shortcomings, if you like, not enough faith, not enough courage, not enough confidence in living the truth. So if I try to live better with more faith, more confidence and more understanding of courage, I get a better day with the truth as my guide. My addictive substance, alcohol, my behaviour, trying to be perfect, and never so. And I needed to do 2 videos. I had a lot to contemplate this morning, if you like. Something to do with what sort of day can I have? Do I wish to live in my defects of character, which is step 6, or do I want to do something about my shortcomings, which is step 7? So it's the attitude that I have to this day which often counts most. So step 6 defects for me is fear, putting on a brave face, and a fairly brittle ego. and those are my defects, if you like, of character. I can then put a long list of words into those if I want to or need to. Or do I go for a day where I look to improve my shortcomings, have a bit more faith, courage and confidence in finding the truth of now and making my day work and staying in the here and now? And part of the reason why I do these videos is to share being in the now rather than yesterday or overly worrying about the future, because I can only live now. I can only make the best of what I have right now, and truth is my guide. And often I cannot find the truth alone, because I have self-will and I want it my way, and of course my way doesn't really work. It's our way. So part of my living, if you like, is about asking myself when I wake up in the morning, how am I feeling, why, what may I do? Means how am I feeling? A bit alone, bereft, and that's okay. I've got a gap inside me, a relationship ended, and you know, I don't hate people when they go out of my life. I cherish them and love them, and I'm sure she's going to be alright. I'm sure of it, because she is as determined as I to make the most of now. So how am I really feeling? I've got a lot on my mind with type 1 diabetes, things I need to do to better self-manage. And the trouble is, if you've got clinical depression, self-management is not too good. So I do rely heavily on fellowship, the people I know who will keep on asking me questions, how are you? Even if I hate the idea of being asked that, because I want to say, fine, leave me alone, I want to isolate, lick my wounds, and all of those sorts of things. But I need to be in the here and now, and fellowship keeps me in the here and now, finding the truth of what can happen today. So part of that, the Fellowship of AA, Alcoholics Anonymous, I always share the preamble so there's no misunderstanding what it is about. Recovery. Alcoholics Anonymous is a fellowship of men and women who share their experience, strength and hope with each other, that they may solve their common problem and help others to recover from alcoholism. The only requirement for membership is a desire to stop drinking. There are no dues or fees for AA membership. We are self-supporting through our own contributions. AA is not allied with any sect, denomination, politics, organisation or institution. Does not wish to engage in any controversy, neither endorses nor opposes any causes. Our primary purpose is to stay sober and help other alcoholics to achieve sobriety. And I must remind me and you that I don't speak for AA, that's Alcoholics Anonymous. I only speak for me and what I'm learning as I go along in recovery. And I wouldn't be without the fellowship if you wanted to pay me £1 million. Well, I might consider it, but I would be foolish, because the fellowship helps me find truth on a daily basis. It keeps me tuned into the now. And in my last video I looked at 2 books and couldn't get to the other one, so that's why I'm doing a second video. Part is the 12 by 12, the 12 steps and 12 traditions, which is like a little, it's a primer or a primer, and it helps me keep on track. And this blue book, Alcoholics Anonymous, chapter 7, helping others, is what I covered in the last video, just a little bit of it. I can't cover the whole program in any one video. But the daily readings, if you like, the daily reflections is a touchstone for me, because each month is about one of the 12 steps of the 12-step program. And as Bill sees it, it's a little bit of wisdom thrown in, if you like, as I go along. So for daily reflections for today, February the 4th, it says, when faith is missing. And when faith is missing, it means I'm missing something in step 7, which is courage, faith and confidence. It says this: sometimes AA comes harder to those who have lost or rejected faith than those who have never had any faith at all, for they think they have tried faith and found it wanting. They have tried the way of faith, and the way of faith, and the way of no faith. 12 Steps and 12 Traditions, page 28. He goes on to say, I was so sure God had failed me that I became ultimately defiant, though I knew better, and plunged into a fatal drinking binge. My faith turned bitter, and there was no confidence. There was no coincidence. Those who once had great faith hit bottom harder. It took a long time to rekindle my faith. Though I came to AA, I was grateful intellectually to have survived such a great fall, but my heart felt callous. Still, I stuck with the AA program. The alternatives were too bleak. I kept coming back, and gradually my faith was resurrected. And you know, it's not my faith that you need to worry about. I've got faith in truth, and for me, as Gandhi said, God is truth. So I don't have a problem with a higher power these days. And you know, step 2 is what these videos is all about in February. It's about being restored to sanity by a higher power. And when it says AA can be a higher power, it has experience, strength and hope, and the wisdom of learning how to be sober. And if we learn how to be sober, then the rest of life can happen. We can fall in love, fall out of love. Not for me, I don't want to hate people. It's taught me how to forgive and be a part of what is going on. And yeah, I don't hate people. There's no mileage in it. And I reckon that people, even when they do bad things, are trying to do their best, because that's all they know how to do. And you know, being a defiant, stubborn, arrogant son of a gun when I was in my drinking and stuck in my defects of character, which were ego, brave-facing, and underlying all of that was fear. I didn't know how to react except trying doing the best thing at the best time. And it was not easy. As Bill sees it, page 18, companion and partner. Dr. Bob, companion and partner to Bill Wilson, co-founders of AA. Dr. Bob was my constant companion and partner in the great AA adventure. As the physician and great human being that he was, he chose work with others as his prime AA vocation, and achieved a record which in quantity and in quality none will ever surpass. Assisted by the incomparable Sister Ignatia at St. Thomas Hospital in Akron, he, without charge, medically treated and spiritually infused 5,000 sufferers. In all the stress and strain of AA's pioneering time, no hard word ever passed between us. For this I can thankfully say that the credit was all his. I took my leave of Dr. Bob knowing that he was to undergo a serious operation. The old broad smile was on his face, and he said almost jokingly, "Remember, Bill, let us not louse this thing up. Let's keep it simple." I turned away, unable to say a word. That was the last time I ever saw him. And you know, I guess for me, the last time I've seen people sometimes, and they've never come back, and they've perished. It's hard. It's a testament, really, that addiction kills. And what we learn in the fellowship simply is, we learn how to heal ourselves by hearing the experience, strength and hope of others, and learning our wisdom as we go. And the gift for me, well, today, reticent, circumspect, and you know, on the emotional level, the spiritual level, and the physical level, I've got quite a lot of things I need to resolve, but I can't resolve them all at once, so it needs to be gentle progress and not trying to be perfect. And my reaction to difficult test results to do with my type 1 diabetes is, I want to rush to be perfect, but if I do that, I'll set an imbalance going the other way, which could cause even more damage. So I have to be careful and just gradually try and manage the blood sugars, the lipids, the cholesterol, the triglycerides, and do it more diligently and be careful with myself. On the emotional level, where am I now? I'm still hurting. I've got a gap inside me, and that's okay. Feeling the pain, as they say, is a touchstone to spiritual growth. And spiritually, how am I doing today? Well, I'm more connected to the truth of what is, and not what I would like it to be. I'm just learning simply a day at a time. What it says in the Serenity Prayer, which is good. To the God of my truth, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference, and make progress, and not try to be perfect.